There are literally hundreds of lead generation tools on the market right now, and since I've sent over 6 million cold emails and scraped over 30 million leads, I pretty much tested them all. A lot of them are probably just burning your money and wasting your time, but there are some absolute game changers out there that can cut your costs by hundreds of dollars, save dozens of hours a week, or change the way you do outbound entirely. So today, I'm going to show you the best lead generation tools you can use right now. The first lead acquisition source that I would recommend, always looking into, is Instant Data Scraper. So a lot of people are using Apollo, Store Leads, Zoom Info. It depends on what data source you're using now. This is super good if you need to just test out some data first and basically pull any data from any website. It's really, really insane. It's called Instant Data Scraper. With Clutch, this is mobile app development companies. All you have to do is click the Pokeball icon, and what you can do is you can try another table and select any or many, or like you can select the table you want to scrape. And as you can see here, it's already started pulling some of the data that we actually want. It's begun scraping this data, and as you can see, it pulls all of the necessary information. So like the Clutch profile URL, this is the image, you can get the domain from this. It also has the company as well, and it has the reviews, amount of reviews, etc. And what's amazing about this is you can scrape, first of all, nearly any site. And the sign off or the knock on from this is they also do pagination. If you operate on a site with multiple pages, you can paginate through the pages. So it'll basically ask for a locate next button. You'll click next. And then what it will do is it will flag that button. If I was to, let's say, start crawling, what it will do is it will automatically go to, as you can see, so it's now collected 100, 150, 200, and it'll just keep scraping the Clutch 40, and then from there I can extract the list, I can pull the data, and I can do whatever I really want with the data. It doesn't look like it's changing now because the top pages of Clutch are all featured, so you'll have to paginate, but you'll notice the URL here is changing quite often. Next, I'm going to recommend a GitHub scraper, and don't get too scared, it's not code. This is just a base GitHub scraper that we've been using quite often, and I have another video on the channel about just scraping and how to set this up and everything if you want to go watch that. But this is basically a Google Map scraper that we've been using quite often, and quite literally you can set any country, any city, and it will scrape it automatically for you. So this is a server that we have running now, and this is the scraper that I'm, I guess, referring to or talking to. And as you can see, it's been going for 6 days now, and we scraped 700,000 leads. And as you can see within these settings, within the scraper, we can quite literally set what we want to extract, the countries that we want to extract, the state or the cities. And it's pretty all in one. So you can just download this locally, you can run it. It's pretty insane. So I would definitely recommend checking this out. Next, I would recommend clay.com. And this is a super, super sick software. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the greatest skills I've ever picked up on learning how to use Clay. Basically, it's a go-to-market tool. It's like a big Google sheet, and it's able to integrate a lot of the softwares that, like, let's say API keys of Prospio or Million Verifier, you can hook it up all into this software here. And it's one of the very few on the market right now. Like, it's super advanced. It has a bunch of competitors, but this one is super, super advanced. This is just a quick Clay table just to show you some of the capabilities. Like, there's obviously a lot more to this, and I could create it like a full tutorial. But if I was to just go into the combined companies tab, and let's say I wanted marketing agencies or people that did marketing services, you can put in marketing services. You can specify or exclude industries, company sizes, associated member counts, funding raised. So in general, it's pretty all in one. And a little hack on this is the lookalike companies. You can put in a bunch of lookalike companies, or if you want a particular product or service, you can put in the product or service here, and it will automatically filter for you and look for companies that do that specific service. So next, I'm going to recommend ChatGPT, and this is like such a hack. Seriously, you can quite literally go into ChatGPT, since it has a web search function, and just ask it for specific leads. So let me put in a prompt here, and I'll just show you what sort of prompts you can send out to it. I'm looking for HVAC companies that are all within Texas, and on their site, they should be in business over 10 years, or at least make some sort of statement like that. So here I have a very simple search. It's looking for HVAC companies in Texas, and they need to be in business over 10 years. It means they're at least slightly established within the space. I thought this would take a little bit longer for the search, but I guess you'd have to specify. But you can quite literally go here, and it has references. So if I click in Texas Pro, they're based within Texas. They're called Texas Pro, so they're based in Texas. They do HVAC, and they've been in business for 3 generations, so over 10 years minimum. So we can try another one here. So this is Adams Air Conditioning, Houston. They're basically based in Houston, which is in Texas. And this is #1, family owned from 2015. So it's 2026 now. So it's been 11 years or they've just gone 11 years in business. So yeah, super cool hack. Good to identify super niche leads that you're looking to target. So another super cool hack is going to be lead list trading groups. This is our own one here, but this is basically our MTOS group chat, and we basically trade leads here all the time. We give away tons and tons of leads to the community for free, but it's not just exclusive to us. There's tons of other group chats where it's like dedicated to lead list trading. So you can go in and you can give away tons and tons of leads, and then people will also be there giving away leads. This is a little niche hack that you can do, super awesome, and you can get massive amounts of leads for fairly cheap if you're just willing to ask and willing to give value back to the community as well. So if you're doing any sort of lead list trading or you scrape leads, you could always throw them in the group and people will appreciate it all the time. So here's the thing, having millions and millions of leads means nothing if you don't have their email. So let me show you how to fix that. To find emails, I would usually recommend something like Lead Magic. These guys are super cool. They have some of the best pricing on the market for email finders, and these guys do direct mobile phone numbers, email addresses, B2B profile enrichments, everything along the lines of that. Pricing is some of the best on the market as well. What I would say on this, there's going to be a few other options I'm going to put here for just like validation softwares. What I would recommend is using, instead of trying to find the person's email in that sense, using an email finder. I would just recommend guessing and looking for the email yourself using some of these verifiers. Coming to the next one here, and this is one that I picked up very recently and I've been using it an absolutely insane amount, is mailtester.ninja. Like genuinely, I talked to lead generation agencies. They'd never heard of this company before. And I'm like, whoa. You haven't? Long story short, if you spend €7 with them, you can validate 50,000 emails a day. 7 euros. There's no one else on the market doing this. For 17 euros, you get 100,000, and for 50 euros, you get 500,000 emails daily, which equates to about 15 million a month. Most people will never have any sort of need for this. Like, this is an insane amount of leads to validate on a day-by-day basis. What I would say is, looking at like these plans and looking at how everything is set up here, you should use something like Mail Tester Ninja in not like using it with Clay, and you should incorporate the two of them together. And with that, you can guess the person's email. So like my email is liam@mtos.com because, well, I was lazy and I was like, oh, I'll just put my first name because, like, you know, it makes the most sense. And you can just guess that. And I have another video on this channel dedicated because there's a whole process on how to set that up. So if you want to check it out, definitely check it out. Just guess the person's name within Clay or just in general using Google Sheets, put it through some sort of validator, and you'll be home scot-free and you won't have to deal with any of the crap that comes along with, oh, I have to pay a super insane amount to look for these emails if you can just guess them. Another validation software I recommend is Million Verifier. So I worked with a lot of lead generation agencies that use softwares like this one here. Their pricing is also really good. It's definitely not as good as Mail Tester Ninja, but let me see here. So if I, with validation credits, 10K is about $30. And then if I, let's say, go to 100K, it's about 149. And the best thing about these guys is the validation credits will never expire. I know a lot of lead generation agencies, I use Million Verifier as well. So yeah, they're both really good. So one of the other validation softwares that I usually recommend is Reun. There's some pretty good pricing, but honestly, I don't really look at their, like, truthfully, I don't really look at their pricing here. They have an AppSumo plan, which I pay way more attention to, which is for a one-time purchase of $80 a month or $79, you basically get a like lifetime access. You get 500 credits a day, 1200 credits a day, 2100 depending on which codes you buy. It stacks and you get lifetime access. So if you ever need validation, this is perfect because you never have to pay for them again. Like, genuinely, it's dazzling, insane. So definitely check it out. And finally, I would recommend Bounce Ban for catch-all emails. Catch-all emails is a different criteria of emails that you're going to run into when you're validating lots and lots of emails. It's basically a domain that if you send to that domain, it will forward the email to another inbox, which means you can't really validate it unless you send the person an email. And Bounce Ban, basically, they do this. So they'll, like, if you validate a catch-all email, it'll tell you if you can send to that email address or not, and it reduces your bounce rates because most people don't send to a catch-all at all. And these guys have some of the best pricing as well on the market. So I definitely check them out. So you've got leads, you've got emails. Now you need to actually start sending to these leads at scale. And what I would recommend is these 5 sequencers. I use 3 of them. 2 of them I have clients on right now. So the first one is going to be Instantly. I am like a massive advocate for Instantly. I recorded a whole video on this. It was huge, right? Basically, it was an Instantly versus Smart Lead recap. And it, like, just to go into the very basics, they all have the same tech, on the back end, realistically. So Instantly versus Smart Lead, pretty much the same thing. There's two main like competitors in the market right now. And we, like, just to show, we have 7,836 emails within Instantly right now. And we use these guys for warming. I read, like, everything in general is super awesome, super easy on the back end. Super slick as well. Like, realistically, you just want to be in the uni box and you want to be in the email accounts section. Everything else, I wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, we have about nearly 8,000 accounts and they've been working sublime for us right now. The next one is going to be Smart Lead as well. I've used them, have tons of people on Smart Lead right now, like regarding clients for inboxes. And yeah, like these guys do the same thing. Again, tech on the back end is all pretty much the same. Like, as long as it sends an email and it has a warm-up pool, then look, fire away, you know? It's pretty sick in terms of how they set everything up with all the sequencers anyways. So yeah, there's also Smart Lead as well. Definitely look into these guys. They just recently released a plan, which has, if you're on the 178 plan, you get unlimited storage, which is insane. So basically, they've been trying to compete with Email Bison which is the next one. But Email Bison have unlimited storage as well. Honestly, like if you're at 178, Smart Lead is a pretty cool option as well. If you have a tons, like I'm talking thousands, hundreds of thousands of leads and emails that you need to send to, with Bison as well. So Bison is, these guys are, so like I'm in the pricing, it's $500 a month or $600 a month. And yeah, basically you get 500,000 emails per month. So you get literally the whole shebang, everything unlimited, and you're just limited on the amount of emails that you want to send per month. And again, super sick setup. I've worked with these guys, I've used their software, and I can show you some of the setup that I've been using as of right now, and that, yeah, super sick stuff. And then the other two that I have clients using is Plus Vibe and also Reach Inbox. The reason being is, well, for Reach Inbox anyways, they basically had an LTD or a lifetime deal, and people were basically like using it because they didn't have to pay, which is really nice. But so tech on the back end is all essentially the same thing. As long as you can send an email and you can send the warm-up email, then you're pretty much set on that front. This is Reach Inbox. I think Lead Gen J is behind Reach Inbox. And then we have Plus Vibe as well. Again, clients on this, super happy. You wouldn't see tons and tons of reviews and testimonials and people using this if people weren't happy. So yeah, so the 5 I recommend is Instantly, Smart Lead, Email Bison are the main 3 that I've used. And then I have clients on Plus Vibe. I'm Reach Inbox right now as well. Before you hit send on any campaign, there's some technical things that will make or break everything. Skip this and your emails go straight to spam. So we're currently buying domains from Porkbun. So as you can see here, we have about 246 domains, and we had a lot more. But long story short, a lot of our clients actually just buy their own domains and then they just send it to us, and because they want their own names on the domains, of course. So the reason we came up with Porkbun is because we tried to balance price and also spam complaint ratio between, it's price and spam complaint ratio. This is Cyber Crime Information Center, which is spam activity in domain registrars. And you can basically see the spam domain score and also like the registrar and then top level domains under management, etc. And if you look here, you'll basically see like just a breakdown report. Porkbun is about a 182.5 in terms of spam domain score. And like for us, when we've been using them, we really haven't, like there's a few here that are lower down, but obviously it depends on like the amount of spam domains to the amount of domains they actually have. So there's a bit of a ratio there. But yeah, this is good to know, because if you're ever going to any of these sites, you can look at it here. And if they're not here, then they're probably like just smaller. But this is the top 20. And you can basically see how high the spam ratio. This is like 1200. Which is insane. We have Dynadot, which is 445. And then additionally on top of this, this is also another domain report. So I'm gonna zoom in here slightly. But what you can basically see is the most used top level domains. And you can just see who is using what and like how many domains of each like .com, .de, .info people are using, and the spam complaint. Basically, the more used the domain is, the more popular it is, the better deliverability is going to be. That's usually how it works. There's a few caveats with like .info, there's .co as well, there's .com, but generally like you can see and have a look at some of the ones here and see which ones are the most used. Additionally, what we'd recommend is one called MX Toolbox as well. So you can basically put in your domain here, but basically you can see here, we're basically set up on Google. You can check the DMARC policy, the DNS. We do have DMARC set up. I'm not sure why it says that, but then there's DMARC, etc. You can check like if you're on any of these blacklists, and if there's any of these like in red, then I would look into it, because it means you're on some of the blacklists that people have highlighted. Definitely something to look into. And and be wary about. And this is all from our experience with having over 8,000 inboxes and managing over 30,000 at this point inboxes quite easily. If we come into Cloudflare, so we then redirect everything into Cloudflare. These guys are a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I think they're public as well. We just basically redirect everything in here. It takes care of our security, and it just like hosts all of our domains, because, well, it's nice to have everything in one spot, because sometimes we bounce between registrars when there's deals going around, and I can buy .co for like 250, and maybe other places I can buy .info or .com has like €7 deals. It's good to just play around with some of the numbers, see what's up. Cloudflare, again, the main thing is having everything centralized in one location, and then you can operate everything from inside of Cloudflare. And some other deliverability tips that I will absolutely recommend to you guys is having the warm up to send ratio at around a 1.5 to 2x. This is what I recommend to anybody well, I think just generally, I'm trying to give out some super like universal tips here. So if I come into settings, like we basically have, let's say daily campaign limit is 10 right now, and then our warm up is at around 14. So it's nearly at the 1.5x mark. If you're using Google, you can recommend, like, I would recommend something like a 2x mark would be perfect. So if you're sending like 10 to 15-ish emails a day, you can do a 25 email warm up. Another universal tip is it's usually about spam complaints. So people don't really know this, but with Google inboxes, you can send around 2,000 emails, 2 to 2,500 emails per inbox, which is like, this is perfectly normal, right? You can do this if you want, but the reason cold email gets separated and segmented out into multiple different domains is because of the spam request or the spam domain ratio. So if you have 2,000 emails going out from one domain and you get 200 spam requests, even though that's a lot, but like 200 spam requests, and that's a 10% hit rate. But if you were to do the same and you spread out the load across 10 different domains, you are then able to reduce the amount of spam requests to an actual domain because you spread it out. Everything is about limiting the amount of spam requests your domain actually gets when you're doing outbound. And one of the best ways of doing this is to just write good copy. If you can write good copy, then you'll be doing a-okay regarding the spam requests. And if you do proper research on your targets or the prospects or the people you want to sell to, most people are actually pretty okay with getting a cold email as long as it's well researched and thought out and insightful. One of the final points on email deliverability is reducing the spam words within your copy. So this is Mail Meteor right now, and as you can tell, I didn't write this, but Mail Meteor has like a test template, and if you have particular words, certain spam filters will flag these particular words on the first email going out. So like guarantee, finance, like you have shady words, you have overpromise, you have unnatural. So my usual recommendation is if you bump into any of these words at all, you should absolutely filter them out or ask ChatGPT to come up with different variations of the word that you can put in that won't trigger the spam request, and it still looks natural. That's the main thing. It needs to read well. All right, so the infrastructure set up and the emails are ready to send. How do you actually set this all up without losing your mind? Because you're actually going to have leads coming in now. That's where the workflow comes in crucial. So there's a few angles you can hit this from. The first one is going to be storage and like actually managing all of the leads that you're going to be pulling. And we use a couple different storage mechanisms. The main one is going to be Clay. So people don't really know this, but Clay is like, it has unlimited storage for what you're actually paying them. You can import like, it's up to 15 million rows, which most people will never ever need that much. But we use Clay as a massive storage mechanism. If you've labeled the folders properly, then you'll be able to do whatever you need. This is our Clay account. Obviously I'm in a bunch of different ones, but this is just the one we have now. And like we have, let's say, split into clients, acts, and there's like YouTube videos. So this is the one I would use for YouTube videos. We have churned, depreciated. We had some smart lead automations in place as well for replying to emails. So there's a ton of stuff within K that you can do, but if you segment it properly, it basically takes a layer or like a weight off your shoulder of, hey, I need to organize all of these leads, because trust me, after a while, it really, really gets annoying and very, very difficult. Next is going to be Row Zero. Row Zero is an unlimited storage data center where you can basically put as many leads as you want, and it also lets you open the files, which is crucial for certain points in like the outbound. So if you have massive data sets of hundreds of megabytes, Excel or Google Sheet cannot handle them, which is the two biggest ones on the market right now, which everybody is using. So if I just come into here, this is just a client that we have basically, and they wanted to send, like, they needed 150,000 leads, and to get that 150,000 we literally had to sift through gigabytes of data and use like code and formulas and stuff, but most people won't need that. But basically this data here came from a file that was hundreds of megabytes and it wouldn't have been able to like basically be opened. And yeah, this is just, it's been super helpful for some of our workflows because we can just filter through massive data sets that again couldn't be possible in Google Sheets. We do still use Google Drive in Google Sheets. Go figure. You can't really get away from Google. They're just too big for us, too big to fail, as they say. And long story short, we basically upload a lot of our data sets. So we have 813 gigabytes within Google Drive right now. It's just massive data sets that we use to store and filter everything properly. We have a couple automations in the back end just for us, but for yourselves, if it's just you and you're doing your own outbound, please make sure to have a file that just is called outbound and it's called leads, right? And then when you upload a file into this Google Drive folder, just label it with the name of the lead list, what the criteria was, and the date. That's it. If you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to save yourself an absolute world of hurt in like a few months when you're like, hey, I need these leads again because maybe I want to target them again. Maybe I want to revalidate them. But you're like, hey, I can't find them because it's all over my drive. Why did I do this to myself? And I'm telling you, it happened way more than I'd like to admit to myself as well. I'm not immune to this because I do get lazy sometimes, but I'm telling you, please do this. It has caused me so much pain and hassle not being able to set this up properly. And one of the other parts of the process that is going to take up a lot of time is going to be like actually replying to interested leads when they start coming in. And this is just a simple clay table that we built out. It basically pulls any like leads that come in through this was Smart Lead inbox. And it basically took the text, it took the reply text, the to from email, and it basically filtered by intent. And we basically pulled all the personal details, like their personal LinkedIn. We found their phone number as well. And then basically from their phone number, we found a bunch of other data that was like super useful. Like the type of like startup, like basically like these guys were, let's say, VC, tech startup, SMEs, and like their ideal client is SMEs. And this basically expedites the entire process when it comes to like writing the email and replying back, because let's say you have a pre-drafted email. So like to put this in the time or context terms, like let's say you get 10 leads coming from cold email a week. And honestly, that like from some of the numbers I've seen, some people are getting hundreds. It's just something to take note of. With a setup like this, you can cut your response time down to literally like 1 to 2 minutes. Usually you'd have to like look at the site manually, maybe get some of their information, and it might take 5 minutes, circa 5 minutes, circa 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you're outlining the email. You have to respond to particular objections. It's a pain. So having some sort of build out option like this, where it automatically replies to some of the leads, super beneficial. So another setup I would recommend is subsequences. This isn't one that we use quite often because we have people doing this for us, so it's not something I look into. If you have tons and tons of leads coming in and the responses are always the same of like, maybe send me this workbook, or yes, I'm interested, like give me a ring. You can basically set up a sequence where if you flag them as interested, it'll automatically send them a sequence of, let's say, this specific email at this day. And then 2 days later, you can then send another email. And then 2 days later, another email. So you don't have to worry about the entire follow-up sequence and the initial email in itself as well. So yeah, definitely look into this. Super cool stuff. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of tools and a lot of subscriptions. So let me show you what we're actually using right now in-house. As of right now, our setup is Email Bison, Mail Tester Ninja, and Instantly, with like the warrant feature with shared mailboxes. And also for leads, we're running our own leads at mtos.com right now. We're slowly testing out some of our outreach sequences. A lot of our campaigns right now is more awareness based. So it's not like direct to conversion because of the way we have the funnel built. But like the email we're sending out to people is, hey, we have millions of free leads. Do you want to check it out? And we're just driving traffic to our site that way, just due to the fact that we have such large infrastructure. So like obviously we manage thousands and thousands of inboxes. So for ourselves, when we send out emails, we just use our own Microsoft infrastructure right now. We basically pull from our site. For leads as well, we basically have a site here which we're giving away millions and millions of leads. Basically, you can come in, you can pull any leads you want, and we've been using this ourselves as well internally. I would never sell or like make a product out of anything that we don't actually use internally as well. We are using Mail Tester Ninja for a lot of our validation efforts right now. We basically have an API-based setup. So if I just drag over here, we basically have a code structure that's able to just scrape the leads for us. And then we put it through a validation setup on another server just to validate everything for us. And then additionally for leads, we are using this Google Map Scraper that I referenced to you in this video. We have this set up on like 30 different servers. So it's absolutely huge volume for us right now. And then finally, we do have Instantly for warm up and everything. We're possibly looking to transfer everything over to Bison. We'll have to see. Yeah, that's our current setup. I can probably make a more in-depth video on how we're doing everything, but yeah, that is our current setup as of right now. I've already done a lot of the work for you, and by a lot of work, I mean we scraped over 25 million leads across multiple niches, and we open sourced them for free for everybody in the community. Now, if you want to see how we've generated these leads, you can watch the full breakdown here. The video is on screen. I'll see you there. Peace.